Good morning students, welcome to session 9 on the Riemann integration. So in this session we are going to study about some more theorems on the Riemann integration. So that is Riemann integrability of a continuous function. In this let us take one theorem. If f is a function from a comma b to r is continuous on a comma b, then f is Riemann integrable on the interval a comma b. So here it is given that his f is continuous, then you have to prove this is f is integrable. Since f is continuous on this closed interval a comma b, then this implies here f is uniformly continuous on a comma b. That is the definition here. That is, this implies for each epsilon greater than 0 there exists delta greater than 0 such that mod of f of psi minus f of eta is less than epsilon divided by b minus a. So this is from the definition of a continuous of a function here. For all epsilon and psi belongs to a comma b, and mod epsilon minus psi is psi minus eta is less than delta. Since here f is continuous on this a comma b, then f is bounded on a comma b also, because here these are all the theorems you studied. If f is continuous, then it is bounded also. Let us take the partition here. The interval a comma b can be divided in n subintervals here. That is, partition you have taken a is equals to x0 comma x1 etc. up to xn, which is equals to b. Be a partition of the interval a comma b. And also, since f is bounded on this interval a comma b, then this implies here it is bounded on e subinterval ir also. That is xr minus 1 comma xr. In this I have taken. So we know here this is, it contains xr minus 1 xr also here. So dash dash no, it has n terms. So in between we have this interval also. So let us take here, we know this is mr, small mr and capital Mr be the infimum and supremum of f on this interval. So since f is continuous on this interval, therefore it implies here it is continuous on this e subinterval also ir, and it also attains its infimum mr and supremum capital Mr at some point cr and dr of this ir. That is here, so it has some it attains some infimum and supremum in this interval, which is we can take at some point cr and dr. That is in this interval we have at this point, exactly at this point it attains supremum and infimum. So that is here infimum mr is equals to f of cr, and supremum capital Mr is equals to f of dr here. Dr means maximum value you have taken here. At this point it attains maximum value. Since mod of cr minus dr is less than or equals to mod of xr minus because here this is the point at which in between these two values, so it is always less than or equals to this one here. This is equals to, we know here xr minus 1 is always length of subinterval. We denote it as equals to delta r. So delta r is length of rth interval. It is definitely less than delta, and this cr comma dr is belongs to this interval xr minus 1 comma xr, which is less than a comma b, because here this is the subinterval. It is the subinterval of this one here a comma b. This is in between these two values, no. Therefore this is always less than a comma b. This interval is always less than a comma b. This implies here condition 1 must be valid for cr and dr also. So here we can say that here this also satisfies for this subintervals. This is supremum and infimum, which contains between the limit here xr minus 1 comma xr. Let us take its modulus. Mod of f of cr minus mod of f of dr is always less than epsilon divided by b minus a. This is from the definition of continuity, where mod cr minus dr is less than delta. So we know here f of cr is mr and capital f of dr is capital Mr, which is less than epsilon divided by b minus a. So if you remove this mod is always again, if you remove this mod here, this mr is maximum value, no? So we can take it one as here capital Mr minus mr, because mr, this mod means you have to take always a positive value. So that is here less than epsilon divided by b minus a, multiplying on both sides by delta r, that is the length of interval here. So open this bracket, it becomes mr capital Mr delta r minus small mr delta r, which is less than epsilon divided by b minus a into delta r. So this implies here This implies sigma r is equals to 1 to n capital M r delta r minus sigma r equals to 1 to n small m r delta r, which is less than. This is applying sigma, no? So you have to apply sigma to this delta r only, because this epsilon divided by 2 is independent of r. We can take it outside. We know this is the definition of upper Riemann sum, that is UPF, minus this is the definition of lower Riemann sum, it is LPF, which is less than epsilon divided by b minus a as it is. We know this sigma r equals to 1 to n delta r. If you open this bracket, then see what happens. This you studied. If you open this bracket, then what will you get here? It becomes here, if you open this bracket, it becomes delta 1 plus delta 2 plus delta 3 plus etc. up to delta n. So we know delta 1 is what here? Length of subinterval here. This is delta 1 means here, this is x1 minus x0. So that is here, then here delta 2 is what here? Delta 2 is here x2 minus x1. Then delta 3 is x3 minus x2 etc. here. And delta n is here xn minus 1 minus xn. See here, this x1 plus x1 and this minus x1 get cancelled. And this plus x2, in the next step you will get here minus x. This also get cancelled. Like this all the terms will get cancelled. Only this first term and last term remains here. That is xn minus x0 remains here. This is xn minus x0 remains. It is not like this, no? It is it is xn minus 1. So this xn minus 1 get cancelled. Only xn minus x0 remains. So xn is what here? Xn is b and x0 is a. So you will get here b minus a. So this is UPF minus LPF is less than epsilon for all b minus a get cancelled, no? For all p with norm p less than delta. Norm p means what here? Norm p means maximum of the length of subintervals here. So this implies here f is r integrable on a. This is the definition of Riemann integration, no? So that is here every continuous function on a comma b is integrable. And converse of this result is not true. That is here if every Riemann integrable function need not be a continuous function. So this is all about this theorem. Next theorem is Riemann integrability of monotonic function. This is the last theorem in this chapter, and this is the last session of this chapter also. Let us take here statement of this theorem. Let f from a comma b to r is monotonic on the interval a comma b. Then f is integrable on a comma b. Let us take here what is given here, monotonic function here. Let f be monotonically increasing on the closed interval a comma b. And this implies here this monotonically increasing and decreasing is studied in previous class also. So monotonically increasing means here next term is here increasing function it is. So first term is less than second term, which is less than third term. That is next terms are always greater than the previous terms. So it is monotonically increasing. This implies here f of a is less than or equals to f of x, which is less than or equals to f of b for all x belongs to a comma b. That is here f of a is always less than or equals to f of b here. So this implies here f of x is bounded on a comma b. I hope you know this bounded definition also. Here f of x is in between these two values, no? It is bounded. It has lower bound and upper bound also. So that is infimum of f is equals to f of a and supremum of f is equals to f of b. Infimum means minimum value and supremum means maximum value. Let epsilon greater than 0 be given, and this partition P, this interval a comma b is divided into n points, that is a is equals to x0, comma x1 etc. up to xn, which is equals to b, be a partition of the closed interval a comma b, such that for each subinterval IR, again we have here in between this we have somewhere here we have xr minus 1 comma xr dash dash dash. So we can take that subinterval IR is equals to xr minus 1 comma xr. And we know here this delta r is less than epsilon divided by f of b minus f of a plus 1 for all r is equals to 1 to etc. up to n. Take this one as equation number 1. That is length of interval is always less than this one. And let us take here supremum and infimum of this interval, that is small mr is infimum and capital MR be the supremum of this IR. And since f is monotonically increasing on this interval a comma b, so it is also monotonically increasing in this interval also xr minus 1 comma xr. So here we can take here mr is f of xr minus 1 and capital MR is f of xr for r is equals to 1 to etc. Now consider UPF minus LPF is equals to. So UPF is what here? Sigma r equals to 1 to n capital MR delta r minus LPF is sigma r equals to 1 to n small mr delta r. And here you write this one here. Both the terms are from sigma r equals to 1 to n only, and both the terms contains delta r. We can take it common. So it is capital MR minus small mr into delta r. So let us take here, this is less than sigma r equals to 1 to n f of xr minus f of xr minus 1 into epsilon divided by f of b minus f of a plus 1. So which is less than epsilon, so which is less than epsilon divided by, we can take this one first term, here written this first term, epsilon divided by f of b minus f of a plus 1 into sigma r equals to 1 to n, this f of xr minus f of xr minus 1. Which is less than here epsilon divided by f of b minus f of a plus 1, and you open this sigma here. So first you have to put r equals to 1, it is f of x1 minus f of x0, plus put r equals to 2, you will get here f of x2 minus f of x1, etc. And when you put r equals to n, you will get here f of xn minus f of xn minus 1. So then here again you can check here f of x1 plus and here f of x1 minus, these two get cancelled. F of x2 in the next term you will get here minus f of x2, it also get cancelled. So here up to f of xn minus 1 also get cancelled, because here you can see here the second term is minus, in the previous term the same thing, it is with the plus. So here also same thing, f of xn minus 1 in the previous term you will get here a plus f of xn minus 1, it also get cancelled. So all the terms will get cancelled, only this first term and this last term remains here, f of xn minus f of x0 remains. So this one you write as it is, sigma epsilon divided by f of b minus f of a plus 1 as it is. So we know f of xn is f of b, xn is b, no, and x0 is a minus f of a. So it is f of b minus f of a divided by f of b minus f of a plus 1 into this sigma, and this one is here, what here? Here also we have one more sigma, no, it is, this is sigma which is less than, which is less than what here? We can take this one as here, it is less than epsilon, because here the same thing here, same thing plus 1. One term is, here it is plus 1 means denominator is greater than the numerator. So denominator is greater than numerator means it is always less than this term here. It is less than 1 it is. This is always less than 1 means it is less than epsilon we can take. So thus for each epsilon greater than 0, there exists a positive, there exists a partition P such that UPF minus LPF is less than epsilon. This is the definition of Riemann integration here. So hence f is integrable on a comma b. Similarly, we can prove that if f is monotonically decreasing on a comma b, then it is integrable on a comma b. Hence so monotonic means it is both increasing and decreasing. Hence a monotonic function f on a comma b is integrable on a comma b. That is, every monotonic function f on a comma b is integrable. So this is all about this theorem, and this completes this whole chapter here, Riemann integration. So if you find any difficulties, then you can ask me at any time. So this is all about this today's session. Thank you for watching this. So thank you very much.